What is up, YouTube? I know you guys have been wondering why I have not done a video of a deck profile or gameplay or anything recently, and I will be completely transparent and honest with you guys. Playing on the PTCG Live interface has not felt great for content specifically. I mean, I've been playing and testing and doing whatever on live, but it has felt very lackluster. I have not had a lot of, fun there. And it is honestly damaging my content as well. So for the time being, I don't have a PTCGO account, so I can't do anything. I can try to set something up from scratch, which is something I honestly might do in the next coming weeks after I get back from the European International Championships, and try to bring back content to that avenue. But yeah, my thoughts just echo those of the other content creators that have been speaking about it. But I don't want to deprave you guys from deck profiles because I have been still playing, I have been still thinking about stuff, and I have been working on it. So without further ado, I wanted to talk about Lucario VSTAR today. It is a card that came out this weekend, and it will be legal for the European International Championships. So I decided to try to put some thought into it, see where I could kind of take the direction of the card, because it's not actually that bad. It's actually pretty cool. So I wanted to kind of talk about the card, talk about what it does, and kind of the application process of where I want to think it's good. And I mean, obviously, if I had a PTCGO account, I'd show some gameplay, but I don't. So please bear with me. I really, really apologize, guys. I will be up and running with those again soon. So until then, it'll probably be discussion-style videos and deck profiles and stuff like that. So I really do apologize, and I am hoping that I will fix that sooner than later. So here is the list that I kind of wanted to start as my base point for everything, because I do think that this is a very good way to play the deck. Now, we're going to have a 4-2 RCS line. It doesn't really feel like you need 3 RCS a lot of the time. You ever only really need 1 RCS to chain it into the Charon's Care. And once you get the Trinity Nova off, you can kind of set up your Lucarios. You have the Lucario V, which has the Crushing Punch attack for a DTE. Discard a special energy from your opponent's active Pokemon. Could be relevant in certain situations against things like Mew. But I also feel like if you're attacking with this guy into Mew with the Psychic weakness, you're probably in some trouble. There's the Cyclone Cake for the Fighting Double Colorless, which is not great, obviously. In that situation, Urshifu V is better for the 150 knockout under the Mirroring Arceus, but if you do have the Choice Belt and they don't have a big charm, it applies better. And then you have the Fighting Knuckle, which almost always guarantees you the knockout onto an Arceus. Now, a really cool thing I like about Lucario V-Star is its Aura Star V-Star power attack. Now, you're thinking probably, Rahul, we're probably going to Star Breath in 99% of situations, and you are correct. This deck does not have a way to bump Path, so that is something you could add if you'd like to, but currently I don't have a way to bump Path. So if a Path ever gets stuck on us, Starbirth becomes moot for the entire game. And now, if an Arceus deck puts down an Arceus, accelerates the energy, and they have a Dunsparce in play, we're probably on the back foot if we're attacking second. So there's a world where we can just Aura Star and shred through the first Arceus without even having to hit for weakness, and then we can boss up the Dunsparce, kill it with Fighting Knuckle. They get knockout back in, and then we can win with just 2 attacks after that. So the path is there for us, where Aura Star can be a good attacker in the case that Dunsparce exists. And also, I don't know, like, there's probably other use case matchups where we can just blow something up very quickly with 1-2 energy cost attackers. But yeah, it just seems like something that we can have in the occasion that Path sticks on us. So it's a very cool card. I think Fighting Knuckle is much stronger than Urshifu's Gale Thrust, which is why this card can make its way into decks. And I think this has a potential to be played. I don't know necessarily if it's that good yet. I'm just trying to test it out, and I think there is potential here. Fighting Knuckle is very, very strong, hitting for 240 regardless of what they are if they're a V Pokemon. So if they're a V-Star, you're pretty much putting them into 2-shot range. With a Choice Belt, you can one-shot most V-Star Pokemon, and Arceus is the biggest concern in this format, which you're one-shotting, and other Lucarios you're one-shotting back with the Fighting Knuckle and the Choice Belt. Now we're playing a 3-2 B-Barrel line because Industrious Incisors helps us draw up to 5 cards, which is very, very strong, and this deck does not play an Inteleon engine or anything like that. I'm kind of just modeling this after like a kind of turbo aggressive build where we'll play just heavier counts of stuff and kind of get where we need to be. I'm sure Lucario will also thrive in an Arceus like Lucario Inteleon list, but there's a lot of space that gets eaten up there, so that's kind of my main concern with it. We have a Crobat early game to just kind of draw, because a deck like this does need to get the Battle VIP passes, the Quick Balls, the Ultra Balls early game to kind of set up the board. If we miss these on turn 1, it's kind of doomed anyway, so we're going to have to find those cards. We have 3 Research, because I think Research is still the best supporter in the deck to kind of dig and find our pieces. 2 Boss's Orders. Boss is very crucial to kind of just bring up threats and take it out, especially Dunsparce, specifically Dunsparce, honestly. We have 2 copies of Marnie to kind of reset our hand, reset their hand. Now, the Marnie count can always become 1, and we can go to 3 Boss's Orders, or go to 1 Marnie and play a Pal Pad, which is something I'm also considering. But without the Inteleon engine, it's much more difficult to find the Pal Pad and utilize it in the way that you would with an Inteleon deck. So it's kind of like if a Pal Pad's in our early hand, we can't really hold it or do anything with it. This Beebs is just going to make us discard it, and we go from there. There's 2 copies of Raihan because basically we only ever really need to use 1 Raihan per game. But being able to chain a Lucario into a Lucario or chain Lucario into an Arceus or something like that is very, very, very strong. I think Raihan is super underrated right now in the format. I mean, I guess it's being played in Arceus and Inteleon decks. But I think Raihan is very strong, and I don't want to prize 1 necessarily. So I think playing 2 is very, very good here because there's a good chance we discard 1 early. We're playing 1 copy of Sharon's Care just to simply offset some math that our RCS might get hit into. It's a win con against Mew potentially because we can try to make them burn all the resources on an RCS and try to go through 2 RCS V-Stars with Charms potentially if we can Sharon's it back up. So there is a win con potentially there. The scariest part about the Mew matchup is if they do get 4 Fusion Strike energies into play. So the biggest thing is I decided to take a Flannery in here. This is like purely hypothetical. I have not tried the Flannery out yet, but if there's a world where you can Flannery away a Fusion Strike energy, we no longer risk the 4 Fusion Strike energy play onto an RCS V-Star, therefore making it so Mew has to burn modifiers, then giving us Sharon's Care utility and value, which then, bolsters the path to the peak value and the big charm value, etc., etc. Now, early game, we've got the 4 Battle VIP Pass, the 4 Quick Ball, and the 4 Ultra Ball to set up. 4 Ultra Ball is very good because we get to also thin cards for the B-Barrel down the line. And then we're playing 2 copies of Evolution Incense because it searches out our B-Barrel, our Lucario, and our Arceus. Now, there's only 6 evolutions in the deck, but 2 of our 6 evolution cards do dig us more cards, do draw us more cards. It is a consistency card. And then this one, if we don't, get stuck, Starbirth is very, very strong. So we're going to be able to actually set up and play the game in the way that we want to, which is why I think this line of consistency cards also makes it so we don't rely on Battle VIP Pass as heavily as everything else. So we have 14 consistency cards, which is crazy good, I think. And turn 1 getting a Battle VIP Pass and attachment is very, very strong. We have 1 rope, 1 switch. I don't know if we need the rope and a switch. I don't really know what the use case is here, but I'm just kind of playing them because everything has big retreat cost, and we can kind of chase stuff if we want to, which is what I really like without burning our energy cards. We have 1 copy of Choice Belt. It helps us get better numbers across the board. I was thinking about putting a Zigzagoon in here as well, but with no Level Ball, it makes it a lot harder to find. So I figured maybe we can just be okay with hitting what we need to hit, and then these guys can just kind of do a ton of damage, especially in the matchups that they should be hitting for weakness in. Particularly, we have 1 copy of Air Balloon because we don't want to retreat our barrel. We do want to retreat one of these guys once in a while, especially opening Crobat and something like that. Giving us 3 switching cards is very nice. 1 copy of Big Charm. This can always become 2 copies, I think, especially if we're playing a little bit more defensive of a build. I felt like we're going to be the aggressors in a lot of situations, so the Big Charm is kind of just there to make it so we don't get popped in a lot of situations. I chose to play 4 Path to the Peak. This card can obviously be cut in some capacity, but I just feel like playing 4 when you're not playing Inteleon line is really good to kind of just stick the path and start beating our opponent down. Like, we stick path, and then both Trinity Nova and Fighting Knuckle do a ton of damage. And let's say our Mew opponent is setting up a little bit slower, we can Crushing Punch some of their energy away, as well as use the Flannery to kind of establish a little bit of a better board, kind of figure out what we want to do in the Mew matchup, or we can just start putting a ton of pressure on with the Arceus and the Lucario. Oh, where did Lucario go? Arceus and the Lucario. And Path to the Peak is just generally good in a lot of matchups, especially, let's say, like we're going first in the Arceus mirror, or even second. Like, we can just stop our opponent from Starbirthing. I don't think I feel too bad about losing my own Starbirth because we do have the Aura Star V-Star power. So I think Path is still a very, very good card in this format, and we can stop 2 of the 3 top decks. Now, I think Malamar is obviously a pretty bad matchup and a pretty hard loss. But yeah, that's whatever. Malamar's Malamar. We have 4 double turbo energies and 5 fighting energies. I feel like that's a pretty good account across the board. We now have 9 energy to attach to either Arceus or Lucario on turn 1. I think you can up the energy count up by 1 if you are a little bit afraid of discarding energy early. Like maybe cut a path, go up in energy. Something like that is what is a reasonable cut. But otherwise, the deck is very tight. This is a very good base point, I think, for playing Lucario, like an aggressive Lucario build, where you're just smacking your opponent down with this Fighting Knuckle guy. yeah, I don't know. I don't have much more to say. I think it's a good starting point. Let me know what you guys think about the list. Let me know what you guys think about the deck in general. And yeah, that's what I've got for you guys this week, today, whatever. But I appreciate everyone supporting me. I really, really do. And this is really from the bottom of my heart. Thank you guys a lot. And I will see you guys for the next video.